Hi guys! Today we're making this real miniature makeup. As with my real miniature candles, this is not the most practical of project, but it is really fun though. We'll start with a lipstick. You need a piece of thin metal that you can bend, mine came from a cake pan, and then you need a thick piece of wire, the thickness you want your actual lipstick to be. You'll need some different pliers to work with and bend the metal, and you'll also need a file of some sort to kind of round off the edges so you don't cut yourself. To cut the metal, I'm using a pair of old crafting scissors. Keep in mind not to use your best scissors for this, cause it will break them in time. Take your metal and start by cutting into a rectangular shape. Then use your file to round off the edges. Mine is just an old nail file. Then take your round nose pliers and start bending the rectangle into a cylinder shape. The wire you picked previously is good as a guide when doing this. Cut away the excess and close the cylinder. Now you should have a cylinder like this that you can slide off your wire. We're going to use this to mold the outer shell of the lipstick on, so now you're going to make a shorter version the same way, so it's the same size in the middle, but it's way shorter, and that's what's going to be used in the actual lipstick. And now you need some black polymer clay. I'm using Fimo Soft. You also need some sort of blade to cut it. Roll out some clay and cut a square. Wrap it around one end of the cylinder and roll it to blend the seam. Be sure you make the end close off. Bake it for 5 minutes to harden. Once cooled, use the file again to even it out. Cut away any excess and then twist it off the cylinder. And then you have the base for the lipstick. If it's a little too long, then file away the excess. Then make a top the exact same way as we did the bottom, just make sure it's long enough so there's a void in the middle where there will actually be room for lipstick. Have both pieces baked completely before moving on. To add a little bit of detail to the outside, I'm using some silver alcohol ink and a thin paintbrush. To seal that in and add some shine, I'm using a Fimo gloss. Now to fill it. I used this elf lipstick that I had, but you can use whatever you have. This part is really simple, but kinda messy. Take the small cylinder and gently rub it against the side of the lipstick until it's filled. Gently remove the excess mess with a Q-tip. Now gently put the cylinder filled with lipstick into the base. And there you have a working miniature lipstick. Be careful when you put the lid on though, because you don't want to smush it. Now on to the face powder compact. I'm using a Kimber cutter to sketch out the size, and then use the other side to make kind of an indent in the middle. This is where the powder will sit. Then I'm using a dotting tool to help define that. Don't worry if the middle looks a little uneven, cause it won't show when we're done. Then take the same cutter and cut the circle out we indented before. Make the top of the compact the same way. The indent here will be for the mirror. To make a hinge so it can open and close, you need a head pin. Cut a small strip of clay and wrap it around the head pin. Then bake these 3 compact pieces completely. Smooth out any rough edges with the file. To make the bottom and top stick together, take the hinge piece and cut 2 smaller pieces of it. Then take a piece of wire thinner than the head pin and put through the 2 small pieces. Cut away excess, but leave enough at the end so you can fold the motor a bit so they won't fall out. Now you're gonna need some glue. Before we glue the hinge in place, we're gonna glue on the mirror to the top. I used some scrapbooking paper with a kind of mirror-like effect for this, and just glued it into the indent we made in the top part. And now we can connect the top and bottom. Glue one side of the hinge to the top and one side to the bottom. It's crucial you don't glue it all together, cause then it won't be able to open at all. While the glue is drying, you can add your logo to the top with the alcohol ink again. To make a small powder puff for the compact, I used this real powder puff I had lying around and just cut a circle from the unused part. Now to fill the compact, you'll of course need some powder, and yes, I like e.l.f. products because I have a lot of them. And then you're also gonna need some alcohol. Scrape out some of the powder and mix it with the alcohol to create a paste. Then transfer the powder mixture to the compact. We use the alcohol because it will evaporate and only leave the powder behind. Leave the powders dry and glaze the outside of the compact. I made the eyeshadow palette the same way I made the compact, only I made it a square and added small strips of clay to be dividers inside. To fill the palette, I chose these bright shimmery eyeshadows. Just like with the powder, you mix a bit of eyeshadow with a bit of alcohol and then add it to the palette. Once you've filled the palette, add a logo and glaze to the outside, and you're done. You have a set of miniature doll makeup that actually works. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a like if you did and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye!